Looking at real estate isn't generally a life or death scenario, but when a failed bank robber storms in and holds a group of strangers hostage, it becomes exactly that. Anxious People book review discusses something like that situation. Among the hostages is a recently retired couple who continually seek out fixer-uppers in order to evade the terrible reality that they can't mend their own marriage. There's a rich bank director who has been too preoccupied to care about anybody else, and a young couple who are expecting their first kid but can't seem to agree on anything, from where they want to live to how they met in the first place. Add an 87-year-old woman who has lived long enough not to be terrified of someone pointing a pistol in her face, a frustrated but still ready to make a deal real estate agent, and a mystery guy who has locked himself in the apartment's single bathroom, and you have the world's worst hostage situation. The plot opens with a hostage situation masquerading as a bank heist. The hostage taker had gone out to steal a bank because he was dissatisfied with his life, he was short on rent, and without a place to live, he feared losing custody of his child. The bank turns out to be cashless, as are the majority of banks these days. At his wit's end, he ends up holding hostage a group of people who had come to visit a flat nearby. "I'm having a complicated day here," he says at the start of the play. Zara, who looks at flats to relieve her loneliness, an 87-year-old woman, Estelle, who is the least terrified and sympathizes with the hostage taker, and two couples, one quite a mismatched pair and the other a lesbian duet expecting a baby, are among the captives. They are bidding against each other for the flat. Having lived in Sweden for over a decade, I can affirm that apartment searching is a competitive sport in Sweden. You lose if you don't move quickly and aggressively. As the situation develops, the officers, a father-son team named Jim and Jack, arrive. They've never dealt with a case like this before, so they had to Google what to do next. They try to gather clues by questioning the released captives about the supposed hostage taker, who has vanished, leaving a trail of blood in his wake. While the quantity of characters may be daunting for some, it helps that Backman is a master at characterization. He keeps things basic and exaggerates their oddness, teaching us a few lessons about love and compassion in the process. By the end, we see bits and pieces of ourselves in the characters, who may not be very pleasant at first. This novel has been described as a dark comedy by some. On the surface, it appears to be such. Backman expertly touches on a few actual topics, such as love, marriage, and children, among others, thus I'd classify it as philosophy. It helps that he is hilarious, and that his story is straightforward. It makes the novel light and unpreachy. Anxious People also has a casual tone and frequently breaches the fourth wall, almost as though the author is speaking directly to the reader. Given the book's ideas of sincerity and common humanity, this makes sense. It not only makes logic, but it also makes the novel a more fulfilling and emotional read. Anxious People was both interesting and moving to read because of all of these factors. The story, like life, offers a mixture of light-hearted and serious subjects and leaves you with a mixed bag of feelings. The most enjoyable aspect of reading Anxious People for me was putting it down and feeling as if I had just had a highly intimate chat with a friend. Despite the fact that it is an adult novel, I would suggest it to teenagers as well. However, a short word of caution, there are multiple references to and talks of suicide in this book, so if that bothers you, Anxious People may not be the book for you. Otherwise, I wholeheartedly suggest Anxious People to everyone.